And in this video, we are moving on to looping through an array. Now, I want to learn about the very fourth and interesting loop that I told you are going to learn, and it is the for each as loop. The question now is, how do you make use of it? Well, it depends on the kind of array you are working with. If it is an index array, it will look something like this. You say for each, that is the keyword, then followed by parenthesis. Then you will now input within the parenthesis your array name, and then the keyword as, and then the temporary variable name. You are going to choose a variable name temporarily. So it is this temporary variable name that is going to be assigned to all the values within the array. Then you can now choose whatever you want to do with the temporary variable name within the curly bracket. Very simple as that. Now, the other one is for if you are using the for each with an associative array. This is how you make use of it. You say for each, then within the parentheses that follow, you then specify the array name you use for the associative array, then the as keyword, and then you then specify two variables, two temporary variables. One is going to hold the keys and the other one is going to hold the values within your associative array. Don't forget the equal to and the greater than. So within the curly bracket, you can then specify whatever it is you want to do with the temporary key and values that you have created. Very simple, eh? So you need to see this in action with this same car model array that we created earlier. So if we have this array, we can work on this array and loop through them using the for each as loop. So what we simply need to say is for each, that is the keyword. Then you open the parenthesis. Now what you specify next is the name of the array that you want to loop through. Now this will be followed by the as keyword, and then you are going to choose a temporary variable name. In this case, I'm going to choose the alphabet I as a temporary variable name. So what simply happens here is this I will be assigned to every element inside the array, as simple as that. Now in the curly bracket that follows, you now specify the action you want to perform with this temporary variable. So what I simply want to do now is echo the value for the temporary variable. That is all. So what I will do at this point is to make this a bit clearer. I'm going to put this within double quotes and add the HTML line break in front so that everything will jump on different lines. If I save this and I refresh this, you notice everything formats nicely. Now if I want to add numbers in front, for example, what I can do is come here and create another variable j, for example, and set it to 1. Fair enough. So what I can now do is come in front of this I, because this is what is holding all these values. So I want the numbers to be right in front. So I could then say before the I, output j for me, that is this number here. So I'll then put a dot in front of it so that it will look nice. Now the last thing I need to do is keep increasing the value of j every time the loop is executed. So that once it does the first one, Toyota, once it moves to under, this will increase by 1. Fair enough. So if I save this and I refresh this, you notice that everything just prints out nicely. How do you love this? Now I want to see how we can use this same for each loop with an associative array. So this becomes easy. So I want to go and grab my associative array that I created earlier. So this is fair enough. So all I need to do now is say take this age and say for each age, this time around no more car model. Then I need two temporary variables here. One will hold the key, so I'm just going to call it key. Then don't forget to provide the equal to and greater than, and then the second variable I will say value. So this is what will take care of this, and this will definitely take care of this. So When I come within this echo, I will just say, I will try and format this nicely. I want to say John's age is 23. So I could say key, because that is what will hold the name, the key. Then I want to say John's or Jack's or Rose's. So I'll just put the apostrophe S in front. Then I'll say age is, then the value of course is the age. So fair enough. Let me add a full stop so that you know I'm a bit good with English. Thank you very much. So I save this and I refresh this, and you see it formats nice to say John's age is 23, Jack's age is 31, Rose's age is 98, and this person's age is 16. So fair enough. This is how easy it is to make use of the for each loop to loop through our indexed array and the associative array. Now there is still another method you might need to also learn that can help us to easily loop through arrays. And this is the list function and the each function. This makes it easy to loop through arrays in PHP. Now I want to see what it looks like. So this is how it works. You use them with the while loop when you want to loop through the array. So you say while. Now after the while, the parentheses that follow, you are going to then say list. Inside the list parentheses, you specify two temporary variables that will hold the key and the value for the array. Even if it is an indexed array, you will still provide these two temporary variables within the list function. Then once you are done with that, you say equal to, then you now introduce the each function, and within the each function is where you are going to specify the array that you want to loop through. Now within the curly bracket, you now choose to do whatever it is you want to do with the temporary variables you have created that will handle the keys and the values within the array. Now this one gives you more freedom over your array to loop through it in a way that you would love to. See what I mean? Taking this array for example, I could say while, and then within the while parenthesis, I'm going to call the list function. Remember, within the list function, you're going to specify two temporary values, one to hold the key and the other to hold the value. So I could just create a variable name and then another variable age. They will temporarily hold each of the keys and values one at a time. Then don't forget equal to, and then followed by each. Within the each parenthesis, you specify the name of the array you are trying to loop through. So that goes in there. Now within this curly bracket, you are now going to specify whatever action it is you want to perform with these two guys. So if I want to say John is 23 years old, for example, I'll simply say echo, and within the quotes, I'm going to say name is age years old. Finish. And that is all. What? You don't believe me? Why do you doubt me? Have I ever lied to you? I'm just kidding. So I'll just save this and then refresh this, and we get an error message because age here is sharing the same name with age here, so they are going to conflict one another. One way we can avoid this error is by adjusting the name of this temporary variable. So I'm going to call this ages and this one ages too. So if I save this and actually refresh this here, you notice that it all prints out nicely. So what is left for me to do is to add a line break and make sure everything looks just good. If I refresh this, you can see it outputs nicely. So this is just how you can make use of the while loop with the list and each function to loop through every item or every element within our array. If you want to try this with the indexed array, for example, it is very simple. All you just need to do is provide the indexed array. So what we need to do now is adjust this so that they will make a little bit of sense. I will prefer to call this key and prefer to call this value, and then the array to provide here is car model. Fair enough, and easy peasy as that. So I like to adjust this and just say output key and then output value. That is all. Or I could just say I just separate them with a dot, or I can separate them like this if I may. So just to make this look as simple as possible, if I save this and refresh this, see what happens. It provides the index as the key and then the element itself as the value. So this is how simple it is to work with the list function and the each function in PHP. Now, something you might be looking at is this list function. What does it really do? Well, let me just illustrate it to you. If you create a list, for example, and within the list you specify two variables, I and another variable j, and if you may, another variable k, and you set this function to an array, for example, and within the array you are going to specify different numbers, maybe 40, 20, and 31. Notice what happens when I decide to echo the value for j, for example. See what happens, and you then understand the power of this list function. So when I refresh this, it outputs 20, the second element in this array. So this list function has a lot of strength that we can make use of. So this is just an extra information for you guys in case you might need this kind of functionality in the near future. So that is that about looping through an array in PHP. In the very next video, we want to talk about our third array, the multidimensional array. Please join me in the next video. Thank you.